Hey everybody, what's going on? Thanks for swinging by. I sure do appreciate it. If this is your first time with the channel, my name is Mark.
Oh, hi Mark.
Welcome to Fit and Fire. Let's get into this video. This time we're going to be talking about videos that I've already discussed in the past, specifically how I have my weapons set up for my truck. We've already talked about a truck gun pistol and a truck gun rifle, but in those videos, first I had people saying, well, if I'm going to carry a firearm in my truck, it's going to be a centerfire rifle. That's fair. So then I did my video on my truck gun rifle, and people are like, that is way too expensive. So it got me thinking, how cheap can I go? How inexpensive can I pull a rifle together that is actually going to be reliable and get me from point A to point B, with a piece of security, with me. So that's kind of what we're looking into in this video. Before we get into that, my question to you guys is, what is your vehicle setup? Do you run pistols? Do you run rifles? Do you run PDWs? Do you have like a 300 blackout sub pistol gun kind of setup thing? Let me know down in the comment section down below. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I greatly appreciate you guys considering doing so. Thumbs up, comments, and shares are the best way to support the channel, and as well as the links that I have in my description and in the pinned comment. So definitely check those out. In addition to all of that, if you haven't checked out the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast, I encourage you guys to look at that. Myself and cameraman Hefe are having a great time pulling that together. We've had some awesome guests, and we're going to have some really cool guests coming up here in the next couple of months as well. So definitely check that out. All right, so let's get into it. We're going to be talking about this rifle right here. This is going to be my truck gun rifle that I set up and talked about in that previous video. If you guys are interested in either one of those videos, like I mentioned, I'll have cards at the end. But that original setup was with a Law Tactical folder and a Tacticon Armament Talon 1-6 LPVO, which is running at about $400. So a lot of people were concerned about the price of that, and I can totally understand it. Look guys, at the end of the day, not everybody has the same income as everybody else. So there are going to be individuals that are really going to geek out on like my BCM Night Fighter AR-15 that is approaching $5,000 on how it's set up. And that's super cool. That's a big flex at the range. But there's individuals that just cannot afford it. So the question then is, how cheap can I go? And that's what we've got right here. So just to recap, upper receiver is a completed upper kit from PSA. It is going to be their 16-inch Freedom mid-length gas system AR-15 that came with the lower parts kit as well. So what it came with was the MOE handguard, stock, and pistol grip as well. That's still on the lower receiver that has the Law Tactical folder. So I just pulled the upper off and put this other lower on. So we are pretending that the lower parts kit is in this as well. And the lower receiver itself, I found a really cool deal from PSA like last year that the lower receiver is like 30 bucks. So I bought 4 of them. So that's why the lower receiver has just a standard A2 pistol grip and buttstock, because I had those parts laying around. But had I used the original lower parts kit and that lower receiver, we're talking $305 to pull the entire rifle together. I still have the Streamlight ProTac light on here. I just left it on here. If you don't want a light on there, then you can just subtract that from the total cost of this build. But this is approximately $125. So we are now looking at $435, or $430 rather. And then I have swapped out the Tacticon Armament Talon LPVO for this LPVO. And that's what I really want to talk about in this video is the fact that this LPVO is very, very inexpensive. We're talking about $100, right? So with this LPVO, with the light and the rifle, we're looking at $530, $540, give or take. So under $550, you subtract the light and you're under $500. I mean, actually you're under $450. So I think that this would be where I would go as far as the quote unquote cheapest I would go. But let's talk about that, because this LPVO that I have on here actually really surprised me. It is going to be an Amazon company, CV Life. They did reach out and ask me if I wanted to take a look at this this optic, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. So, full disclosure, I'm not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent about any of these things that is on this rifle. PSA doesn't know I'm doing this video. Streamlight doesn't know that I'm doing this video. CV Life did send this to me, so I am pulling this video together just to see what this LPVO is all about. But again, not getting paid to say anything good, bad, or indifferent, so take that information as you will. With that being said, when I got this optic in the mail, I was a little concerned because the outer packaging was just fine, but then I opened the box and pulled the scope out of the box, and there was this major gash in the top of the optic, like the box of the optic, like it had been crushed or something. It did come from an Amazon fulfillment center, so this was not cherry picked. This is going to be exactly the same thing that you would get if you ordered this as well. So there is that. Now, a couple of the really cool things that I liked about this is, number one is this optic appears to be made in the same factory as the Primary Arms Gen 1, Gen 2 LPVOs as well. You can tell by these dials underneath the caps here. If you pull these caps off and look at the dials, they're exactly the same as the Primary Arms dials on their ACSS LPVOs, right? So that is a good sign to know that if it's good enough for Primary Arms, then you should be getting a quality product. I'm a big fan of Primary Arms, so take that as you will. The next thing is, it came with everything that you need to mount this directly to your rifle right out of the box, which is really cool. Obviously, it comes with the scope itself, but it also comes with this cantilever mount and a throw lever, which is a nice added touch. The particular LPVO that I received was the BDC version, so it has a bullet drop compensated reticle, which is nice. But to be frankly honest with you, this rifle is meant for probably 200 yards and in. That's just my thoughts. If you need to do something further than that, just know that you can get the reticle that has the BDC. For the BDC reticle, you're looking at about $110, and then just your standard quote-unquote CQB. I hate that term, but that reticle is going to be $100. So there is that. So the biggest thing that I wanted to test is to see how durable this would be for just a normal average person, right? So I understand that this is a $100 optic. I was worried that this would be like an airsoft style optic. So I wanted to put it through a bit of a torture test to kind of simulate what it would be like, you know, to be out in the field, you know, if you're out hunting or something like that. Say you prop your rifle up on the tailgate of your truck and then you turn around and it slides off and falls on the optic. How is that going to affect the zero? And then if, you know, you toss it into the back seat of your truck, you know, how is that going to affect your zero? So what I did was I did prop this up against the tailgate and then you push it over with my foot several times. I set it up against the Caldwell portable shooting bench that I have and then pushed it over like 6 times. So about 9 or 10 times I knocked this over onto the optic. And then I also took a water bottle and I beat the optic as well a couple of different times, and I wanted to see how that would affect the zero. So here's what the zero was from 50 and 100 yards. Those 6 rounds are 50 and 100 yards. 50. So you can see that this is not 100. The quote-unquote most accurate rifle, and that's not what I need this rifle for. But I then let it fall on top of the optic and shot a 3-round group, and it ended up being low. So I was worried that this was going to have a shift in accuracy as far as point of aim, point of impact after it being knocked on or after it fell on the optic. So I went ahead and brought it on back and beat it up with a water bottle, kind of like 704 tactical, and shot another 3-round group, and noticed that it was right on the target there, as you can see. So that was a good sign, and I wanted to go ahead and do it again just to verify that those results were actually the case. So went back, beat it up again, shot another 3 rounds, 2, 3. That's actually and then took that long walk back up to the target and found that the third 3-round group was consistent with the second round 3-round group. So I'm going to call that good. No noticeable point of aim, point of impact shift for minor abuse. So we're not repelling from helicopters, we're not kicking in doors like in Eastern Europe or anything like that. 1, 2, 3, we 4, are 5, just 6, average people who might accidentally knock your rifle over onto the ground while you're going out on a coyote hunting trip or something to that effect. And it's held up, and that's been something that has been really, really surprising. Now, the things that you need to consider. Number one, it's a $100 scope, so keep your expectations fairly low, right? The reticle on this seems to be good. How accurate it is, I don't know. It does come with some really good documentation on how to zero to get your BDC to work. The next thing is, should you trust these cantilever mounts? I don't know. We'll do a follow-up in another video on down the road after 6 months or so to see how well these are holding up. We'll put it through the same test and just see if there's been any changes. Obviously, it's going to stay in the vehicle in hot and cold conditions to kind of get it to expand and contract and back and forth. So we'll see how that affects it as well on down the road. Now, just like with any LPVO, it's going to have a diopter here in the back for you to focus for your eyesight, and then this magnification lever here is really easy to move back and forth. It's not overly tough, it's not overly easy. So this is basically a rebranded Primary Arms LPVO, and for $100, $110, that's not too bad. So there you go. That's what I have going for this. As mentioned, under $550 if you include this ProTac, the Streamlight ProTac. If you don't have the light on there, under $450. So yeah, man, I think that this is going to be a viable option. If you guys are interested in some additional information, look into the pinned comment. As mentioned, if you haven't checked out the Live, Laugh, Larp podcast that I'm doing with my cameraman Hepe, please check that out. Link in the description and pinned comment. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Thanks again. We'll catch you guys later. As always, freedom through strength. Here comes a high five. Catch you guys later. Bye, y'all.